Hello, everybody. I'm Paul,
And I'm Jamie.
and this is another episode of Criminally Disturbed. And well, it's been a minute since I've done a regular case.
It has. I'm
Wow.
sorry I went through puberty there. I'm trying to remember the last one you did.
Yeah, it's been a little while. I've done some of the bonus episodes.
Yeah.
Been more commentary on yours. I got more involved in the followers of Christ than I really wanted to be. But
you have such good commentary.
well, I do have a story for you tonight,
Okay.
and it's a doozy.
I like doozies.
Well, you're not going to like this one. This one's kind of a, it's a sad story for the family and for the people that are surrounded this person and things, but we'll get into that here in just a second. So we have had an explosion of listeners over the last several weeks, and we've had a pretty good response to our Patreon page, which is good. We appreciate everybody. We appreciate all of our listeners that are listening and continue to listen. And we just want to say that very soon we're going to be giving shout-outs, I guess. Shout-outs to our Patreon subscribers. So be on the lookout for that.
And we've created a TikTok.
We have. That's right. Thank you for reminding me of that. We have created a TikTok page. Videos on there are created by my beautiful wife with all of her creativity.
It really don't take a lot of creativity.
Well, you've had a lot of views.
Yeah.
Yeah. We appreciate everybody that is viewing those and then going and listening to the episodes.
That's right.
Yeah. So if you have anything that you want to tell us, talk to us about, share with us, anything like that, please reach out to us on our email address, which is cdisturbedpodcast@gmail.com. Again, our TikTok page is what?
TikTok page is at Criminally Disturbed Pod.
Okay. Our Facebook page, as always, is Criminally Disturbed, and our Instagram is Criminally Disturbed Podcast. Do we have any other ones? I don't think so.
No,
That's it?
I think that's it.
Okay. We encourage you guys to go by and go by the Patreon page. We have created a lower $1.50 a month tier for those that are kind of on the fence.
Yeah.
Go by there and donate to the podcast, if you will. And we'll continue to pump out the episodes and create those bonus episodes. Oh, man, I've been working on a bonus episode. Been doing some research on a bonus episode. Oh, my God. I've got a part 3 to the Idiots edition that I'm going to do. I came across, I don't know, it was probably 7 or 8 stories, short stories. And, oh, my God, they are so good. But we'll get into that. Again, bonus episodes are going to be uploaded to the Patreon page and will only be heard by our Patreon subscribers. So if you haven't already, go by and subscribe. Let's get into this episode, shall we?
Yes.
We're going to talk about a police officer. Now, some of you that are listening may have followed this story. You may not. I don't know. But it was pretty big news. And this was back in 2015 when all of this went down and stuff. But we're gonna go way back. This police officer's name, he was a Lieutenant Charles Joseph Glenowicz. His nickname was G.I. Joe. Joe Glenowicz was born in Libertyville, Illinois. Am I supposed to pronounce the S at the end of Illinois?
No, I think it's just Illinois.
Okay. Sorry about that. Illinoisans. He attended Marmion Military Academy and graduated from Antioch Community High School in Antioch, Illinois in 1981. He then enlisted in the United States Army. He was trained as an MP or military police, trained as a drill sergeant, a sniper.
Yes, drill sergeant.
And an airborne assault. So airborne assault is when you jump out of a plane into combat.
Oh, wow.
So he was in the military. He was trained.
He had a lot of training.
To pretty much be a badass.
Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. In 1985, he joined the Fox Lake Police Department, which is the primary law enforcement agency for Fox Lake, Illinois, which is a village of about 10,000 residents.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of in the midst of the Chino Lakes area. This area is approximately 60 miles north of Chicago. When he was hired at Fox Lake Police Department, he was, obviously he started out as a patrol officer, received further training and certifications in special assignments, including SWAT, police dog handling, and became a certified evidence technician.
Wow.
So this guy's got a lot of training behind him. I mean,
Yeah.
he's very knowledgeable in procedures and things like this. In 1996, he was promoted to sergeant, and then in 2006, he was promoted to lieutenant. Gliniewicz was in command of the Fox Lake Police Explorer Program Post 300. Now, the Explorer Program is an organization that mentors, takes under their wing the
Youth.
adolescents.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Adolescents interested in the law enforcement, in becoming or starting a career in law enforcement. So he was in command of that.
Mm-hmm.
Worked with kids. Everything that I saw, there is a Facebook page on the Fox Lake Police Department about the Explorer Program back in the 2010, 2011, 2013 area. And you can see a lot of photos on there with the youth and the program and how they work with the youth and things. And so really good program that they have going there. Now, when he was in high school, he spent 2 years at the Chicago area's Marmion, and I hope I'm saying that right, Military Academy. He later enlisted in the Army, and he did do 4 years in the Army. Right before he went in, when he did his 4 years, that's when he got hired on at the Fox Lake Police Department. The agency was the only place that Gliniewicz ever worked as an adult besides the Army.
Okay.
So
obviously he's not a job hopper.
No. I mean, he went from high school to the military and then right into the police force. And his career was set. He stayed a police officer all through his adult life. Now, he also, after he was hired on at the police department, he still was with the Army, but in the reserves. And he served in the Army Reserves for 23 years, earning many, many military medals. Now, most of these can be seen, or a lot of the things, the information that we're going to be talking about can be seen in his personnel file. When I was doing research for this, there's a link that you can hit that takes you to his personnel file, which is a PDF document, and it has everything throughout his career as a police officer, and that's where I got most of this information from, okay? Other sources that I used in this episode, CNN did several stories on this. NBC Chicago is another one. ABC7 in Chicago, news stories. Both of them had news stories on this. So the personnel file is one of the biggest contributors to this episode that I have, and that was on Document Cloud. All right? So CNN, ABC7 Chicago, NBC Chicago, and Document Cloud is my sources. In 1986, just a year after being hired as a rookie, he began helping the Fox Lake Police Explorer Post. Within a year after that, he was running it. So that's how fast he moved up in the ranks to run this program and stuff. About 2 years after becoming after starting to run that, he married his wife. Her name is Melody. They stayed married for 26 years. They had 4 sons, and I'm not going to mention their name.
I was going to say that's a lot of testosterone in that house. Kind of like our house.
Yeah, that's true. As chief of the local Explorer program, Gliniewicz received international attention for all of his hard work with the post and went so far as to implement regional training for the youngsters in SWAT and sniper work, according to other documents. Now, many of the adolescents that were in this program that were led by Gliniewicz went on to be in the military and in law enforcement and very successful.
Well, I mean, that's what the program was for.
That's right. Exactly. So on paper, it looks successful.
Right.
So Here's a word from one of the adolescents that he inspired. His name is Devin. He truly loved his job. He loved doing things for the explorers. He really dedicated hundreds of thousands of hours into bettering the Fox Lake community, the Illinois Law Enforcement Explorers, and the National Law Enforcement Explorers. Now, let's not forget that this man is a police officer, with the Fox Lake Police Department. But one thing I wanted to show you here. So this is the personnel file that I was talking about. This is back in 86. And when he was, this is when he was issued a shotgun for use as a police officer and things. This is when he completed 1 year of service. He got a raise to $20,000. This is 2 years. He got another raise up to 21.2. I mean, this is a lot of information that's just out there. His personnel file. These are actual documents that show a person's that's in a
right.
Then that's in a public spotlight. They show a lot of kind of what it goes on. This is when he was given his holster, guns, ammunition pouches, things like that. There's his photo ID.
Well, I was going to say usually municipal and like smaller city documents are easily accessible.
Right. That's true. But one thing that I wanted to bring to light here is in his personnel file, there are a lot of commendation letters. Okay. Now, if you go through his personnel file and you get down past this right here, there's 132 pages of this. You get down to stuff like this right here. Now, this is from one chief of police to another. Okay. Let me take this opportunity to commend the officers from your department who assisted my department with an armed and barricaded, mentally distraught subject on the morning of October the 19th, 1988.
Hey, that's a blessed day.
It is. Look at that. The cooperation between our agencies was exemplary. Officers Blank and Glenowicz were very helpful during the incident. Thankfully, the episode ended with no injuries to any of the individuals involved. Once again, thanks for the assistance. Your agency has once again proven to be a valuable ally in the law enforcement efforts of the Lindenhurst Police Department. So there are several of these letters in here commending Glenowicz for his duties as a police officer. So he has all this training. He's a good officer. He helps out other police forces. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands that you don't get recommendation letters unless you're actually doing something good and people notice it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, which has me over here like, so why are we doing an episode on him?
So,
because we don't do episodes on great people,
right? Well, that's true.
Unless it's a victim, then
right. So, for all intents purposes here, it looks like he was a good cop. He had 4 boys that he raised with his wife of 20 some odd years and everything. He was active in the military. He was in the Army Reserves. Now we're going to fast forward to September the 1st of 2015 at 7:52 a.m. So Officer Glenowicz radioed to dispatch that he was pursuing 3 men that morning, described as 2 white and 1 black, at an abandoned cement plant in Fox Lake. At 8:09 a.m., Fox Lake police officers responding to his request for backup discovered his deceased body in a wooded marsh about 50 yards from his vehicle. According to reports, the first bullet from his .40 caliber semi-automatic handgun had struck his mobile phone and ballistic vest, while the second pierced his upper chest. His head was scraped and bruised. The swampy terrain was otherwise undisturbed, and his handgun was not found for more than an hour. Now, they did find his handgun, like I said, more than an hour later. It was only 3 feet from his body, which is kind of weird.
That it took them an hour to find it?
Yeah. Other pieces of his police equipment, including his radio, taser, and pepper spray, were found scattered nearby in the marsh area around him. So he radios in. He's pursuing these men. He describes them as 2 white, 1 black. You can hear the radio call. You can hear it. It was all recorded and everything. You can hear it. And not a whole lot of chatter on the radio between that time and the time that the other officers actually, show up to back him up. And he is shot and killed.
Mm.
A massive manhunt was launched looking for these 3 suspects. This involved more than 400 law enforcement officers on foot, in vehicles, in helicopters. They had drones. They had horseback riders out there. Local law enforcement were also assisted by the FBI and the ATF.
Mm-hmm.
So they're looking for these guys.
I was going to say, you don't kill an officer and not expect all the other ones not to get involved.
No, you just got a lot of heat on you.
Exactly.
I mean, and one that has got all of these commandments and and all this stuff like this. I mean, this is a highly decorated Army guy and obviously a highly decorated police officer.
Yeah.
So helps out the youth, right?
Yeah.
The manhunt by the feds and the local police department lasted for weeks in the woods and the wetlands where the Chicago suburbs approach Wisconsin. Now, this terrain, there's a legend about this terrain, about this area that they're in, these marsh areas and things like this. Now, there's folklore about Al Capone, that he once lived in this area.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to dump his bodies in the waters that surround the village of Fox Lake.
I wouldn't doubt it.
I wouldn't either, but I mean,
they're haunted.
It's legend.
Yeah.
Is what they say. So, anyway, that's a nice little tidbit there. Now, on the next day, the next evening on September the 2nd, a 30-year-old woman named Kristen Kiefer of Vernon Hills, Illinois, contacted the police to report that while she was pulled over on the side of the road in Volo, Illinois, 2 men, 1 white and 1 black, approached her from a cornfield and tried to steal her car, prompting her to basically just take off on foot. Nearly 100 state and local law enforcement authorities set up roadblocks and searched the area, along with 11 police canine and 3 air units.
Wow.
Yeah.
Could you imagine sitting there, though, and these fools come out of the corn at you?
No.
I mean, we watch a lot of scary movies, so we would automatically be like, ooh.
Now, this went on from 9:30 Wednesday night on the 2nd until 2:30 the next morning. They went through the dense Volo Bog State Natural Area after canines mistakenly tracked a deer.
Oh, I'm surprised because...
Oh, then you're really going to be surprised at this. Miss Kiefer later admitted to fabricating the entire story, and she was arrested and charged with 2 counts of disorderly conduct for falsifying a police report.
Okay, because I was like, what did they do to her? So, yeah, she deserved to go to jail.
In May of 2017, she was convicted, placed on probation, and ordered to pay $20,000 in restitution.
As she should.
Why would you do that? I mean, really, why would you do that shit?
Because you're an asshole.
I guess. A large crowd gathered at a vigil on September the 2nd at the Lakefront Park in Fox Lake. Glenowick's wife and sons spoke to the crowd. On September the 3rd, the Chicago Bears displayed a tribute to Glenowick's during a preseason game. Thousands of people, including hundreds of law enforcement officers and officials from around the country, attended the funeral in Antioch on September the 7th. His funeral procession from Antioch High School to Fox Lake and back was 18 miles in length.
Wow.
Thousands of people took to the street to view the procession and show their support, many of them waving the thin blue line and the American flags. The governor of Illinois at the time attended the funeral. He ordered the flags at half staff. Many early reactions blamed Glenowicz's death on a war on cops and the Black Lives Matter movement.
Ugh. No, why? Because
the Ferguson unrest.
I know, but I don't understand how the Black Lives movement got involved in this, being that there were two white suspects.
Yeah, well,
I mean, to me, that's just reaching.
That sounds like some extremists.
Yeah.
That kind of started pointing blame at another movement and things. And there was no blame from them in this.
Right.
Now, well before his funeral, basically within the first couple of days after his death, FBI had been doing some investigation involving Glenowicz's cell phone records. They showed that he was at the site for nearly 30 minutes before he radioed dispatchers for help.
Wait, what?
Yes. He had been in the area for about 30 minutes before he radioed. Now, I first read this and I'm like, well, I mean, he probably was observing the suspects. He was probably,
because you kept
following them,
kind of had a reason.
Right. And he was probably watching close for a reason and things. And so I don't put too much into that.
Okay.
Now, a lot of things the FBI was looking into actually brought out a lot of also some bad things with Glenowicz.
Oh.
He had a problem with alcohol. In May of 1988, he was passed out in his truck with it running, and his foot was on the pedal, full throttle, on the shoulder of a Illinois highway. And these are according to his personnel records. The sheriff's deputy who found him could not wake him up. A Fox Lake police detective took Glenowicz and arranged for his truck to be towed. But the next morning, Glenowicz didn't remember where he had left his truck and reported it stolen until the detective told the sheriff's office it was towed, not stolen. Glenowicz later told the detective he had drunk 6 beers and several shots after playing volleyball.
I was fixing to say that was more than 6 beers, but I guess the shots would do it.
The shots. I mean, don't do shots.
And don't drive.
And don't drive, definitely.
Because obviously he should not have been driving.
Yeah. Then, in August of 1988, Glenowicz again played volleyball and became overwhelmed by a beer and a shot. Quote, because I haven't been drinking, end quote, he wrote in an internal memo, and he didn't report to work. He was suspended for 2 days. Again, this is in his personnel file.
So he didn't report to work because he got mad at a volleyball game?
He had a beer and a shot, and he felt like he couldn't come in. And it hit him hard because he hadn't been drinking since May, was his excuse. I'm not gonna.
I don't even know what to say about that.
I'm not gonna sit here and say that it didn't or did or whatever.
Well, I don't think it.
Okay.
Okay, if this was the day before and you weren't doing the work till the next day,
sure,
it didn't affect you that bad to where you couldn't go into work the next day.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't affect me and you. I mean, we're not alcoholics or anything. Don't get me wrong, but a beer and a shot.
Yeah,
I can go to work that night. I mean, but
I'm thinking he just needed to give up on volleyball.
Yeah.
Because apparently that was his problem.
Probably so. So in his file, there's something here regarding, now this is in 1987. This is a year before this, actually a year and a half before this. This is the chief. Regards Officer Glenowicz's suspension. He will work 2 regular scheduled days off. Those days are January the 15th and the 23rd, 1987. The next page is March. The following allegations have been made by Chief of the Police Department, Fox Lake Police Department. Number 1, Officer Glenowicz did on March the 1st, 1987, call in sick for his regularly scheduled tour of duty, being the 4 p.m. to midnight shift. Number 2, Officer Glenowicz was in fact not sick on March 1st, 1987, and was capable of reporting for his regular scheduled tour. And then number 3, Officer Glenowicz, by this act, did violate Section 42, paragraph 12.6 of the rules and regulations of the police department. So this is not the first time that he's called in and violated the rules, okay? You have a shot and a beer, you can't come in, okay, maybe because you can't drive. In 1999 and 2000, he was being warned about showing up late for work, and he was demoted to sergeant from commander in 2003 because of unspecified problems in the communication division he oversaw. A 2003 federal lawsuit against the village and police accused Glenowicz of pressuring a female department employee under his command to perform fellatio on him 5 times in 2000.
Oh.
So
he had some skeletons in his closet. I mean, you started off and he was like this great guy and, you know.
And that's what everybody thought.
Right.
You know, they're looking skin deep. They're looking at the cover of that book.
Right. They're not actually turning the pages.
When you open the book.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is when he was alive, you couldn't open the book. After his death, everybody got a hold of the book.
Mm.
The woman also worked under Glenowicz's supervision in the Explorer unit, where both employees helped run training camps for teens.
Mm.
The woman later resigned from the Explorer program and reported the alleged sexual misconduct. The suit alleged the police chief told the woman that Glenowicz admitted the conduct, and the chief was recommending sexual addiction counseling for Glenowicz and a 30-day suspension. However, the sexual harassment lawsuit was dismissed by the court in 2005 after the woman and her attorney missed deadlines to file discovery responses. She lost an appeal in 2006.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, that don't look good on her part.
Yep, that's right. In 2009, anonymous members of the Fox Lake Police Department. So this document is dated February the 1st of 2009, and it states, "We, the members of the Fox Lake Police Department, wish to inform you," this is to the mayor, "and the village board of certain situations which have occurred." And there are several things here. And all of this is Glenowicz.
Yeah, I'm sitting here.
Received 6 5-day suspensions, 30 days total, for an inappropriate sexual relationship with a subordinate. This officer also sued the department. That's what we were just talking about. Mm-hmm. Received another suspension for damaging part of the records management program with the department. Was accused of sexual harassment and making threats to a dispatcher. Matter dropped by the dispatcher. Removed police reports from the police department and, in a public space, conducted reviews of the reports, which included confronting officers about the reports. I mean, that's a huge no-no. Eating pizza while on duty. Observed by department personnel with certain women, not his wife, visiting different establishments within the village. A bar tab at an establishment within the village that was not paid. It was in excess of $300.
First of all, why did they let it get to $300?
I have no idea. I mean, took his family on vacation to Wisconsin in his squad car.
Ooh.
First of all, why the hell would we want to take a vacation in a police car?
Yeah.
You got your kids in the back seat. Are they in handcuffs? There's a lot. Allows members of the Explorer Post to operate department vehicles. That's a no-no.
Yeah.
So you can kind of see a picture here. This was submitted to Mayor Cindy Irwin. This accused Glenowicz of widespread misconduct.
That's a little more than misconduct. That guy was wild.
He was getting, yeah. The later was filed in his personnel records, which is how I was able to get a hold of it. And yet, he continued working.
Are you kidding?
No.
Well, I mean, and obviously, if nothing's going to be done about that, he's going to think, oh, well, I can just keep doing what I'm doing because nobody's going to do anything about it.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to get wilder.
Right. Current Fox Lake Mayor Donnie Schmidt said he never heard a complaint against Glenowicz in his 2.5 years as mayor and 2 years as village trustee. Never heard one.
Did he have earplugs in?
Maybe he forgot to take his earbuds out. I don't know. The mayor said, I don't have access to our employees' files. The only time I look at the file is if there's a discipline problem.
Well, I mean, this
there's
guy
a lot
had
of
plenty
discipline.
of, yeah.
Yeah, there's no discipline happening, though. That's the thing.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Now, Glenowicz would actually run into a brick wall with a new boss, a new village administrator.
Mm-hmm.
And this was in March of 2014. Newly hired village administrator Ann Marin never knew that Glenowicz considered her an enemy. She became one, though, in Glenowicz's mind when she wanted an accounting and an inventory of the Explorer Post after a year into her tenure.
Mm-hmm.
By then, Glenowicz had spent, quote, tens of thousands of dollars from the Explorer Post's funds on questionable expenses, including, but not limited to, his mortgage, health clubs, access to adult websites, travel, Starbucks purchases, and other items. I mean, the list goes on and on.
And so she becomes the enemy because she wants to do her job and go over the financials?
Well, she's fixing to stop all of this.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying it's stupid that she would. I mean, obviously, I see why in his eyes she's the enemy. But I mean, if you weren't doing all this, then you would have no issue with her looking over the financials.
Right.
What an ass.
So there were some text messages that were released by investigators. They kind of give you a little bit of a broad view of his psyche.
Mm-hmm.
They were discovered more than a month after his death. He had erased all of the messages on his cell phone, but federal investigators at Quantico, Virginia, recovered all of them.
Oh, you can't hide nothing from Quantico.
Oh, hell no. I mean, Quantico, quantum physics, whatever. It's just, I don't even want to go near Quantico, Virginia.
I know.
They may have a Bluetooth out there to reach out and grab if I'm in within 100 miles of Quantico. Grab everything off my damn cell phone. 6,500 pages in total is what they got.
Of text messages?
6,500 pages, not messages, pages.
Who the hell sends that many text messages?
I don't know. Glenowicz did. Now, Glenowicz considered retiring from the force as a way out of this mess, and that was evident when they looked at his text messages. He was considering retiring. They also uncovered several text messages with, people of his family, his wife, his sons, But some of the text messages that were shared in the CNN story, the FBI had labeled this individual as individual number 2. They speculate that this is Glenowicz's son. This is where Glenowicz was complaining about the new village administrator.
Mm-hmm.
Glenowicz says, quote, "She hates me. If she gets a hold of the old checking account, I'm pretty well fucked." His son replies, "Hopefully she decides to get a couple of drinks in her and gets a DUI."
Oh.
Glenowicz says, quote, "She does, but not around here and no one knows where. Trust me, I've thought through many scenarios from planting things to the Volo Bog." Now, the Volo Bog State Natural Area is 4 miles south of the Fox Lake area, and the reference may be somewhat a dark humor about the Chano Lakes and the fact that it was possibly used as dumping dead bodies.
I mean, that's immediately where my mind went when he said that.
Right.
So based on them text messages, his son knew about his shady handlings.
Well, there's more.
Oh, okay.
So they also labeled this individual as individual number one, and they speculate that the individual number one is his wife. Glenowick sent a text message to allegedly his wife saying he used the Explorer account for a $624.70 flight. Melody Glenowick's attorney issued a news release stating that Glenowick had been depositing his own money into the Explorer Post bank account. Quote, Melody respectfully requests that the community, law enforcement, pension board, and press refrain from rushing to or misplacing judgment.
Which, I mean, that could easily be proven.
Yeah. Another back and forth with his son. Glenowick says, quote, you are borrowing from that, quote, other account. When you get back, you'll have to start dumping money into that account or you will be visiting me in jail in all caps. The $1,600 and the $777 all came from there. Glenowick became increasingly desperate to his son as the messages go on. Quote, I'm sticking my neck out there with loaning you over $2,377 to fix your truck specifically and only to help accommodate your summer leave trip to Oklahoma.
Oh.
He continued, quote, so if called on the carpet, I can say we give our explorers and advisors loans from time to time if it is needed. And this is proof it is being paid back. You get where I'm coming from? This village administrator hates me and the Explorer program. This situation right here would give her the means to crucify me if it were discovered. Compound this with if I was selected for chief of Antioch, Illinois, I would be leaving here and would have to turn this account over to someone else. So basically, if he gets caught, somebody else is going to have this, and they won't have this account to fall back on when they need things and stuff like this. Is basically what's being talked about here. So he is back and forth. Now, with these 6,500 pages of deleted text messages, there are so many things that they have found out detailing some criminal activities. Glenowick allegedly had hired a high-ranking gang member to try to take out Marin, allegedly.
Wow.
Okay, this was kind of what the FBI gathered, okay, in their investigation from his text messages. Financial statements were also discovered revealing that he had embezzled a 5-figure sum from the Explorer program and spent it on things such as the vacations, the mortgage, the gym. They found all of this stuff in financial records and stuff. Investigators also discovered large stockpiles of military surplus gear in his Police Explorer headquarters, such as Kevlar helmets, radios, ballistic vests, combat boots, gas masks, and gun belts by the hundreds. Now, authorities stated it would have been impossible for Glenowick to provide documentation for these items because he had been obtaining the gear through fraud, and that these surplus items are meant for use by actual police officers, not explorers. So they should have never even been there.
Okay, because I was fixing to say, I mean, if they were there, then how would that be bad? But never mind.
They were not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
This is kids. We're talking about adolescents here. They're not supposed to be there. They're not supposed to use this gear.
Right.
The Fox Lake Police Explorer Post 300 was disbanded following the incident. Once news of the betrayal came light, numerous organizations that had raised or donated money for the Glenowick family demanded it be returned. Tributes and memorials were quickly removed, and the largest, which had been constructed in front of the Fox Lake Police Department, was altered with a memorial sign using his nickname, G.I. Joe, now labeling him as G.I. Joke.
Oh, Ouch.
The Washington, D.C. based Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund said Glinowicz's name would no longer be etched onto a marble monument dedicated to fallen officers. Glinowicz quickly went from hero to criminal. The FBI concluded with their investigation in November of 2015 that Glinowicz had been embezzling money for at least 7 years from the Police Explorer program, that he believed his crimes were about to be exposed by this new village administrator, and that his death had been a, quote, carefully staged suicide.
Oh, wow.
He committed suicide because things were starting to close in on him.
Right.
And everything was about to be brought to light. And so this was his out.
So he did that and left his family here to deal with the downfall.
And
of
they
it.
did too.
Yeah.
On January the 27th of 2016, Melody Glinowicz was indicted on 4 counts of disturbing charitable funds without authority and for personal benefit, and 2 counts of money laundering. She pled not guilty to these charges. On February the 2nd, 2016, authorities seized 5 bank accounts believed to be derived from embezzled funds. In June of 2020, a judge ordered the text messages exchanged between Melody and her late husband to be admissible evidence. On February 18th of 2022, Melody Glinowicz accepted a plea deal, being convicted of deceptive practice, a Class 4 felony in the state of Illinois. The remainder of her charges were dismissed, and her sentencing hearing was on April the 12th of 2022.
Oh, wow.
A Lake County judge sentenced the widow to 24 months of probation for her role in an embezzlement scheme. They're also looking at charges against his son. I don't know how they're going to go with that. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to do anything with it or anything is what I read on it. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to get anything to stick. So, but it's his son. I mean, he may have shared some text messages with him. He may have had knowledge of it, but it's his son.
Yeah.
Is that a crime?
I think the crime part that would come in with that would be that the son knew that the money to fix his truck came from that account.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. You're right.
I mean, he knew it came from that.
He
and
accepted-
he benefited from it.
He accepted
Yeah.
stolen funds, maybe. I don't know.
Because he can't say he didn't know about it because
Yeah.
it's obvious in a text message to dad.
Right.
It was like, I need that money back. I need to replace it.
Right.
So,
Well, the FBI concluded that it was a suicide. He did shoot himself. There was never 3 suspects. Okay, he went out there, he concocted this story, and he knew that how long it was going to take someone to respond to a backup call and things, and he shot himself and he killed himself because he knew that this was falling on him.
wow.
So, he was on a good path. This man was on a good path.
He was.
He was. And I think that, he quickly went up the ranks and maybe it kind of got to his head a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
He had a good family. He had a good job. He was still in the Army and things like this. He was commended, which is in his personnel record. Why? Why did he have to do this? He was teaching kids.
Right.
He was teaching these adolescents how to be police officers and things like this. I mean, why would one stray? Is it greed? Is it the greed? Is it just the money?
Probably greed, and also probably he obviously thought a lot of himself.
He did, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. But, I mean,
he flaunted women around town that were not his wife.
they were not his wife. You're right.
And he had no issue with sexual harassment.
Yeah.
So, to me, he thought a lot of himself.
Narcissist.
Yes. There you go.
Left his family to deal with all of this.
Yeah.
The cowardly way out. That is the story of Police Lieutenant Charles Joseph Glinowicz, from G.I. Joe to G.I. Joke.
That's sad.
It is very sad. It's very, very sad.
Yeah.
I hate it for his family that had to, that lived, that had to deal with this. His other sons.
Yeah, I was fixing to say, I don't hate it for all of his family because obviously his wife knew.
She did. I mean, she obviously had some knowledge, if not participation.
Right.
Maybe allegedly. I'm not going to say that she did. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean,
how could she not?
She was convicted of it.
Well, yeah,
so.
but I mean, it's like, how could she plead not guilty?
Right.
In the first place? How could you not, as my wife? If I was bringing home, you know how much I make. You know,
right.
You see it. I mean, and I
I'd
start
be like,
bringing home thousands of more dollars. You'd be like,
are you slinging rock after work?
What? Are you selling your body on the corner?
I would beat your ass.
First of all, nobody would buy this. So,
I would beat your ass.
But nobody would buy it.
They would, but
even if I tried,
whatever.
It'd be like, look, I got coupons. 50% off. And still wouldn't get nobody.
Whatever. Full of shit.
Anyway, I hate these kinds of stories. But
yeah, this one was like, I didn't know where it was going.
You didn't. And so that's it kind of hit me. I was like, whoa, what? He committed suicide? Yep, he committed suicide. It's crazy. Crazy story. So, listen, all officers are not bad.
No.
My uncle was a police officer for years. Started the drug task force in the area that he was working and stuff. I mean, he was a good cop.
Right.
Clean the streets up and things like this. I mean, we all know cops and we all know somebody that's a police officer. There are bad seeds out there. There are bad officers out there.
And that's with any profession, though.
For every one bad officer, there are 10 good ones.
Right.
There are 10 out there that are trying to do the right thing, and that is to protect and serve.
And we don't hear enough of the good ones in the news.
That's right.
All we hear are the bad ones.
That's right, because the media only makes light of the bad things and not the good things.
Right.
This man did good things, but he just turned bad.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And I hate that. I hate that because this man was on the right path.
Yeah.
He was on the right path, was commended for his service time and time and time and time again. Go look up his personnel file and you'll see all of the commendation letters that he got. And this is people seeing him do things, experiencing his generosity. The kids that he helped and things like this. He just turned bad. He did a bad thing. He made a mistake. So
he didn't make a mistake. I mean, that was more than a mistake. He just turned bad, period.
The mistake that he made was a decision to go down the wrong path. That is a story of Lieutenant Glenowicz, ladies and gentlemen. So Jamie's got a story that we're going to be recording soon, so you guys stay tuned for that. And again, go by our Patreon page, become a subscriber. Do not miss out on any future bonus content. And we have been talking about a new segment. We're not going to reveal it just yet, but we have some new, different kind of content.
Yeah.
That we're going to be coming up with a new segment. So.
And it's not going to be slinging rock or your body on a corner and get coupons.
No, it's not going to be any of that. So stay tuned for that and other episodes. And until then, I'm Paul.
And I'm Jamie.
And please join us next time.
And remember to stay disturbed.
Bye.
Bye.